Itadori Yuji is an amazing character in Jujutsu Kaisen, but his problem is that while he's a great fighter, hand-to-hand combat, and he's great with curse energy, he's not a very good sorcerer. In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, it relies a lot on negative emotions, but not just negative emotions, but being able to control your emotions. And Yuji has just been seen time and time again to not have very good control over his emotions. And while that's not, a problem from a character standpoint, in the world of JJK, it leads to a lot of good problems when it comes to sorcery. And I wanted to make this video because I actually saw a couple of videos from another content creator, Enemy Stand User. Make sure you guys go check him out. He's actually a really good content creator, and he did a video on Yuji versus Megami. And a lot of people, I've seen a lot of discussions lately about whether Yuji could actually beat Megami if they actually had a fight. And while I do think Yuji has a good shot, Yuji just gets outclassed by Megami, not as a fighter but as a sorcerer. And I'm gonna tell you guys why in today's video. Okay, so first let's talk about what makes a good Jujutsu sorcerer. In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, curse energy comes from negative emotions, as you all know, but it's not just as simple as being negative or having negative emotions that makes you talented as a sorcerer. You need to control them. And Todo even remarks back during the Hanami fight that anger is an important trigger, but it can also mess you up. Anger is not just what stems curse energy or what fuels it. You have to also be able to control that anger in order to have potent curse energy. That's where they gives like different tiers of curse energy and different grade levels, like the special grades and the grade 1 level sorcerers. Yuji has remarkable talent. He is definitely a grade 1 sorcerer, bare minimum, even stated by Ino in the Shibuya arc that Yuji has talent that rivals that of Nanami, and that's just off of raw strength. That's not even like going into curse energy. So Yuji is obviously a talented combatant, but his problem stems from his control of curse energy and his emotions basically never being in full control. So now that we've identified the problem, let's talk exactly about why his emotions are hard for him to control. And I would say his emotions are hard for him to control due to his perception surrounding death. As explained to Nanami after his first fight with Mahito, Yuji believes that everyone should have a proper death. And this struggle when it comes to dealing with the transfigured humans and everything like that, it just scarred him so much, not to mention the death of Junpei. And as a sorcerer, you can't let things like death affect you. Even Gojo doesn't really let a lot of deaths affect him. Obviously, he's disappointed whenever Gojo can't save somebody, right? But these are things you have to put aside when you enter the realm of Jujutsu Kaisen. As a sorcerer, death is something you're gonna see a lot, and Yuji feels guilty for the death that happens around him and even blames himself when it's not even his fault. During the battle in Shibuya with Mahito, Yuji was ready to roll over and die if not for Todo showing up to motivate him and to get him back into the swing of things. What Yuji needs to understand to truly just be a monster in battle is that death is going to happen, and sometimes you can't prevent that death, but even so, trying to look for meaning in that death can defile basically all the sacrifices that your allies have made. Never forget what you're fighting for, and that's the main thing Yuji tends to mess up on when it comes to battle and combat. But even after the situation in Shibuya, he's still in his head and he still doubts himself, which is something that I don't know when it's gonna snap with Yuji, but once that connection is made and once he stops blaming himself for the deaths that he didn't cause, and once he actually snaps and gets back into it, Yuji is going to be a literal monster. Even Choso remarks that Yuji, after adding finesse to his moves and fluent control over his curse energy, is now a demon god in his eyes, and we have yet to see Yuji go all out. A lot of people like to downplay Yuji by mentioning him getting bullied by Yuta, but let's examine why that isn't really a good argument. Well, for starters, Yuta is second only to Gojo, meaning that the only sorcerer that can contend with Yuta is Gojo. So everyone that we've seen up until that moment would get bullied by Yuta. That's just a given. On top of Yuji not being fully recovered, Yuta even states that Yuji was holding back due to his mental state during their battle. Not that he would have beat Yuta anyway, but Yuji was not giving it his all, and that's obvious due to his mental state, the carnage that we've seen from Sukuna, and just him worrying that if he lives, a lot more death will happen. Yuta was going to win that fight regardless. Let's call a spade a spade. And then after Yuji's bout with Higuruma, I'm not trying to downplay Higuruma at all. Higuruma is an extremely talented sorcerer, but I just don't believe he's beating Yuji if Yuji has his curse energy. Yuji, like I said, it's just on a completely different level. Like his skill and finesse, he can even freaking take out regular sorcerers with freaking rubble just by enhancing rubble with curse energy. Like Yuji is a monster. I'm sorry if I keep saying Yuji. Their names are so similar. But Yuji is an actual monster. And Higuruma like even remarks during that fight that if Yuji had his curse energy, it might have been different. Like Yuji is just like he's so crazy, and I just cannot wait to see him go all out. But forgive me if this video has been all over the place. I just wanted to just like say that Yuji is downplayed. I'm stuttering a lot. Yuji has been downplayed, and he can do way more than what we've seen so far. And not only that, I just can't wait to see Yuji go all in the future if he can get past this mental barrier. Those are just some of the problems that Yuji has that he needs to work through, and I can't wait to see what the future has in store for Jujutsu Kaisen. I love this story. I love you guys. Forgive me for my lack of uploads, but I'm trying my best. I'm trying to work on a lot right now, and I'd appreciate it if y'all could just leave a like and subscribe. And also, if you watch Enemy Stand Use, go check him out. Like I said earlier in the video, he makes great content, and that's all. Until the next one, peace.